Good morning and welcome to Monday. We have got Dr. Roman Nation here for Medical Monday from Nation's Best Family Healthcare in Lynn Haven. And no longer just Lynn Haven,
Yes, sir.
but now on Panama City Beach.
We are on the beach now. Yep.
Yeah. Now, where exactly is the new location? Or the extra location?
The other,
two locations.
the other location.
You didn't totally move. I mean, you've got two places now.
Correct. Yeah, we our staff has been growing as our patient panels have been growing, and we opened a second location right off of Thomas Drive near Back Beach. The address is 7504 McKelvey. It's kind of tucked away off of Thomas Drive, about 2 blocks.
Well, that's great. Yeah, I mean, now the people on the beach must really like that. You'll get new patients
Yeah,
there,
so
right?
far we've had a lot of really good positive feedback. One of the things we didn't really expect was people that live in the city but actually work on the beach, and have given us feedback saying, well, when's my provider going to be on the beach so they can go on their lunch hour as opposed to having to take a couple hours off work at the end of the day to drive all the way back to Lynn Haven to see their provider.
Well, that's great because, a lot of people, people are busy with their lives.
Yeah.
You schedule your appointments when you can. You don't want to take time off of work necessarily. And if
Yeah.
you can do it on your lunch hour, why not? Just having that extra location even gives your Lynn Haven patients who work on Panama City Beach,
Right.
Time is the enemy. It's that
Yep.
whole time distance thing.
Yeah, there's a lot of pressure from businesses, and it's not just we have a lot of our older patients that live in the city, and they've got to have their family members bring them to clinic because they can't drive anymore. So that takes time away from them. So it's not necessarily just the person that we're taking care of. A lot of times it's their families that are being affected too. So we're hoping that this extra location will add a lot of convenience for folks that live or work on the beach. As well as we've got 2 new practitioners starting with us too.
Oh, really?
Yes.
And who are the new practitioners?
Kim Brune is a nurse practitioner. She's been with us for about a month or 2 now. We're growing her patients. She works at both locations. She's been a couple days a week in Lynn Haven, and she's going to spend the majority of her time out on the beach. She's an adult health nurse practitioner, so just like Stephanie and Mr. D's, she does all the regular wellness stuff and mammograms and PAPs and chronic disease management. She actually has a lot of background in pain management as well, so she's a really healthy asset to add to our clinic for that. The other provider that we're adding is a registered dietitian. Her name is Michelle Goutreau. She used to work at Tyndall and actually took care of a fair number of patients when I was in the military, treating those out there to help them with weight loss and diabetes management and those kinds of things. So she's actually adding on to our nutrition program to be a counterpart to JT.
So you'll have a person like that, a nutritionist or a dietitian,
Correct.
at both locations all the time.
Correct, and they're gonna go back and forth because JT has patients that he sees that live and work on the beach. So when they come in, they'll be able to see them out there. On top of the fact that we're more than doubling the number of rooms that we've got. So right now we get a little cramped, and that extends our wait times.
So you have a bigger facility on the beach now.
Yes, yeah. It's the new one's got 7 rooms altogether in it. So the old one that we've got is it's got 6 rooms in Lynn Haven. And we're kind of standing on top of each other, trying to cram
I've
everybody
been in
through.
your practice,
Yeah.
and
It's busy.
It is a really nice place, but
Yeah.
you're right, it is cozy.
That's a good way of putting it.
It is
Yeah,
cozy.
yeah. We have nurses. We have 2 new nurses that just recently joined our team, and we have another office manager type or front desk that is going to be on the beach as well. So she's joining us from another practice too. That's going to be Tina.
Oh, cool. I mean, and you're going to have hours at both places,
Yes.
of course, so you'll be going back and forth.
Correct. Yeah.
You're a pretty busy
Every
guy, Doc.
every provider has time that they designate on the beach and in Lynn Haven, and we're just going to watch and see how the schedule evolves to meet the demand of the patients.
Yeah, and scheduling is got to be a feat in itself. I mean, I can only imagine.
Most patients who've called have, just about everybody has to talk to Alice. She does all the scheduling, so she's been really good in terms of farming everything out to make sure that everybody gets time to get seen. On top of the acute stuff that people call in, not just I need my medicines refilled or I need to get my labs rechecked, but I'm sick or I injured myself or I overdid it over the weekend.
So she is the master scheduler there.
Yeah. She's got a really strong hand in that. So.
Wow. Has she asked you for a raise yet? Alice, ask me for a raise, Alice. I mean, you're doing a lot. That's 2 locations.
We do, yeah. And So yeah, we've had lots of staff growth and people growth and expansion. It's been fun.
We got to run off to the local weather. Let's talk more about that new location you have on Panama City Beach right after your local weather, brought to you by the West Pittman Law Firm. westpittmanlawfirm.com. Welcome back to the show. I'm here with Dr. Roman Nation from Nation's Best Family Healthcare in Lynn Haven, and now on Panama City Beach.
Yes, sir.
So the new practice, or the new location.
Yep.
I keep saying new like you've moved. You haven't moved. You just
Correct.
are going to be in two places now.
Right.
Is bigger and better.
Yeah, I mean it's about the same size. We ended up going through it to renovate it and make it look more like a medical facility. And so it's decorated equally as like the Lynn Haven offices. So
I don't want to embarrass you or anything, although that is my job on this show. And I think we're friends. Where I can, you do have a background in construction as well.
I do.
So you're not just a science genius. You're also a handy guy.
Yeah, my dad came out and actually helped me with some of the renovations in the new location. But we grew up doing masonry work and construction work and drywall and electrical and all that kind of stuff.
So you know how to do all that stuff. And
yep.
And did you do any of the work at this place yourself, or?
We did. Well, most of what we did was painting, but we had some folks come in and do the flooring, and then we've had to restock it with furniture to put all the medical type stuff in there.
And Dad came out and helped out too, didn't he?
Yeah, he came out and helped us for a few days and helped us redo some of the landscaping around there. It's not quite done, but or at least not done to the way I would like it completely, but it's getting there.
You're getting there. So it really is kind of a family affair, this new location.
It turned into that. It provided a nice reason for my dad to come out to Florida. And he loved it while he was out here. He lives in Vegas. And my brother relocated out here because he wants to move here too. So,
well, that's great.
Yeah.
I mean, and welcome to your brother to Panama City and Bay County.
Yes, sir. Yep.
Yeah. We hope to see more of him and hear more great things too. And I'm really looking forward to visiting your new location.
Yep.
So when can I get in there, Doc? And can we come soon? Me and Jeff are going to show up with a camera one day and just.
We could probably do that. Yeah. Trying to get, because it's a whole new staff and a whole new crew out there. Trying to deliver the same quality of service that we do in Lynn Haven out on the beach is a little bit of a training period. So that's what we're working through right now.
So the response so far has been pretty good.
It is.
From your patients. And are you accepting new patients?
Yep. Yeah, like I said, we have a total of 4 primary care providers now. There's myself, Stephanie Breland, Jim Dees, and Kim Brune, and then we have the 2 nutrition dietitian folks, JT, and then Michelle. So all those folks are available to help.
And many of them have military experience too. Isn't that true? I know Jim wasn't he at Tyndall for a while as well?
Jim was actually Navy.
Navy.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, he's been around a long time, so he knows a lot of folks. He's got quite a following from just about everywhere.
Yeah, that's awesome stuff. And I think it adds a certain degree of confidence that, you guys are just a phone call away and you've got these 2 locations now. So it's a little more convenient for folks to get to the dock.
Yeah. And we're hoping that it'll be a little more efficient too. Where each provider will have more exam rooms and more nurses so we can make things more fluid.
Will it cut down on wait time?
That's what we're hoping for. That's right now things are still a little rough because we're still training all the new staff. But as things evolve, we should get better.
Yeah, I mean, just anecdotally, I have friends, and I have friends of friends who are patients of yours, and we're not going to violate any HIPAA thing here, but just anecdotally, people love what you're doing out there.
Yeah, we love what we do because we're not the standard. The biggest complaint I get from new patients that we get is the doctor has already decided what they're going to do before they even see the patient, and we just don't do that. I mean, we actually listen, talk to them about what's going on, and we have. Lots of folks ask me if what the medicine we're giving them is necessary. Well, I don't prescribe anything, if it's not necessary.
Yes.
But that doesn't mean there's not alternatives. So when you look at cholesterol issues, there's medicine that you could do that would technically be necessary if you wanted to get your cholesterol down with medicine. But there's also alternatives. The other necessities would be exercise and changing your diet and watching the fatty food intake and those kinds of things. So those are all necessities, but it depends on which necessity the patient wants to choose. And that's really our niche and approach to everything, is that it doesn't have to just be standard prescription medicine. There's also supplements and things that can do a similar effect, and each person has a different approach on how they want to do it.
So in essence, you can actually give a script for a better lifestyle.
Right.
When you're there.
That's a really good way of putting it, yes.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
it's like, eat this, don't eat that,
right.
and, get 8 hours of sleep and only drink lots of water.
Exactly. So
Doctor, thank you so much for coming on the show, and good luck with the new location. And I'm not kidding you, we're going to come out and visit one time.
Sounds good.
All right. And we'll be right back after your Mad Hatter Minute.
Hi, I'm David Lovett, and this is your Mad Hatter Minute. Almost all vehicles on the road today have a power braking system. The power brake system helps provide braking power so you don't have to do all the work with your legs and the brake pedal. The brakes themselves are applied at the wheel using hydraulic pressure. When we step on the brake pedal, we create pressure in the power booster that is multiplied by vacuum from the engine. The resultant pressure pushes brake fluid through the master cylinder into tubes and hoses that run to the brake at each wheel. If there's a problem with the power brake booster, your pedal usually gets extremely hard due to the lack of vacuum coming from the engine. If your pedal gets extremely soft or gets extremely mushy, that's an indication of another problem, usually a hydraulic leak. A leak gives pressurized fluid somewhere to go other than to the brakes, so stopping power is reduced. Lose enough fluid and you can't stop at all. Of course, that can be very dangerous. Brake fluid also attracts moisture, which can lead to rust. Not a good thing for anti-lock brake systems. Also, water into the limes can be heated and create steam. When you create the steam, the hydraulic pressure is reduced and your braking power is reduced as well. If you haven't had your brake fluid changed in a number of years, you might want to consider that. A final word, make sure you use the recommended brake fluid for your vehicle. Using the wrong type of brake fluid can result in total failure of the braking system. I'm David Lovett, and that has been your Mad Hatter Minute.
Hey folks, this is Joshua Brown with Mad Hatter on 23rd Street. Is your check engine light on? If it is, text MADHAT28, that's MADHAT28, to 24247 and we'll check it for free.
Welcome back to the show. I'm here with Dr. Aaron Shores from Spine and Neuro Pain Specialists. Doc, thanks for coming back on the show again.
You're welcome.
No Mr. Bones this week. You left him home. He's out in the car.
He's out in the car, yeah. He's on holiday.
You know, we've seen some legislation, or actually, we've seen Amendment 2 come through and get voted down. It didn't quite make it. And I guess that's because people are afraid of the addictive qualities that some painkillers may have. What are the signs? I mean, if you have someone in your household who has got pain management issues, how does a family member know if maybe they're abusing that drug or if they're getting addicted to it?
Yeah, great question. And that sometimes is not always so easy to know for sure, but there are certain signs that I think a family member or someone should look for. One is, sometimes patients will not take the medications as prescribed. For example, a hydrocodone tablet may be prescribed, 2 or 3 times a day as needed for pain, but patients are frequently taking more than prescribed, or they're getting them from more than one source. They might be seeing 2 or 3 different doctors to get them. They might be making frequent trips to the ER. Maybe they're buying them off the street. They're borrowing them from friends. They're taking them from other people. Those are all things that we look at. Sometimes there's other addictive issues that go with that, where people will also abuse other substances, where they're also using alcohol or other street drugs.
And that's what doctors would call self-medicating.
Yeah, that would certainly be self-medication. And sometimes, there can be reasons for that. Maybe someone's pain is undertreated, but strictly on a true addiction standpoint, these individuals are trying to do whatever they can to get the drug despite the social consequences. So maybe they're showing up late to work, they've been reprimanded or fired from work, they've had a DUI or been arrested, they've spent the night in jail, they've gone to substance abuse counseling before, but despite all of these different events in their lives, they're still doing everything they can to obtain the drug. And that sometimes can be a real problem for everyone involved, the family as well as the individual.
So what should a family member do? I mean, say you see some of these signs in your own household. What do you do? What are resources out there for families?
Yeah, that's a great question. You know, with all addiction, you know, the first thing that has to happen is the individual who's abusing the substance has to generally reach what is called rock bottom. You know, where they're actually motivated to get help, because sometimes if individuals who are in the midst of addiction are getting help when they feel like they're doing it to make their wife happy or mom and dad happy, the success rate is not always there. So the first step I would recommend is if this individual is under the treatment of a physician, maybe accompany that individual to their doctor's appointment and try to have that discussion with the prescriber, with the individual's physician. Certainly there are Narcotics Anonymous, Alcoholics Anonymous, there are other support groups here in the community that can be helpful. Sometimes churches, you know, often will host these types of meetings, but sometimes a pastor can be helpful in trying to get someone help. But it's really difficult when the person who's addicted doesn't want the help, because they feel like everybody else in the world is wrong and they're the only one that's right. So when they're not motivated, sometimes trying too hard can actually enable a problem. So it's a fine line. So I certainly encourage people to get counsel on how to do that with their physician, and see if there's anything that can be done to get that person to the proper treatment.
I mean, you even see some TV shows based on that, you know, where they have interventions, or you'll have Dr. Phil talking about, you know, addiction within the family, and almost to a person, you can see the truly addicted person's like, hey, I can quit this anytime I want. And that's hard to overcome, isn't it?
Yeah, and that's often naive, really. I think when someone's in the throes of addiction, you know, they're going to say whatever they want. And sometimes if people that are addicted truly do want to stop, you know, but they think they can do it on their own, and they're able to abstain from the substance for a short period of time, maybe a week, a month, and then they think they can just have, you know, one of whatever, and then the cycle starts all over again. So there are various extremes of addiction, and some people are just weekend bingers, if you will. Some people are doing it on a daily basis. Some people are actually able to maintain a job and be relatively functional, but they still have addictive issues.
So if someone in your household has got a pain management issue, you can't rely just on the doctor, although I'm sure you do a great job of keeping your eye out for that.
Sure.
But family's part of this treatment, so you have to look at your loved ones and say, if they exhibit any of those, you know, hallmarks of addiction, you probably need to accompany them to the doctor or reach out to, you know, many organizations that are out there to help.
Absolutely, yeah, because it's a difficult thing to treat, and sometimes, you know, addicts can be very sneaky with their addictions, and even as physicians, we miss it sometimes. So it's sometimes the family member needs to bring that to our attention, because sometimes these folks put on a very positive and outgoing face when they come to their appointments, and it can be misleading for everyone involved. So I think everybody who's
it's a team effort.
It's a team effort, yes, sir.
Dr. Aaron Shores, thank you so much for coming back on the show and getting us smart on the hallmarks of addiction. And we'll be right back after these messages. Welcome back to the show. I'm here in the studio with clinical counselor and author Thomas Winterman. Thomas, of course, is the author of The Thrive Life. Can you get that? All right, there we go, The Thrive Life. And Thomas, you've been coming on the show now for about a month or so and giving us Thrive Thoughts for the week. And for people who don't know you, you've gone through your own transformation of sorts, and you turned your life around.
Yes.
From being a pretty boring guy to the exciting person that we see here in the studio today.
That's right.
Yeah, I mean, you lost a lot of weight. You went back to school. You did all the things you thought you should have done, and now you're in your happy place.
That's right.
Yeah. Now, what's a good Thrive thought that we can take with us through this week?
For this week, it'll be fake it till you make it.
Fake it till you make it.
Yeah.
That sounds disingenuous.
A little bit, but you know, in therapy circles, we don't call it that. We call it acting as if. A lot of people have goals to be happier in their jobs, to have a better life at home with their family. And what people don't realize is that if you start to think about what your life would be like if you achieved those goals, how would you act at work if you were happier? Something as small, how would you walk? How would you talk? What kind of language would you use? You start acting as if. You pretend like you've already achieved that goal and you're already happier at work. Your actions, thoughts, feelings, and physiology are all connected. So by doing this, you're changing your actions, and slowly but surely your thoughts and your feelings will come around, and eventually you're not pretending anymore. Suddenly you are happier at work because you've been intentional and you've changed your actions.
it almost sounds metaphysical when you're like, hey, I'm going to embrace my success. Even though I may not be successful, I'm going to be like, hey, I'm going to act like a successful guy.
Yes.
And there's a lot of old sayings that people say, oh, money goes to money and things like that. But it's kind of true in a way, isn't it?
It is.
That you get out of people what you expect from them, and you get out of life what you expect from it, don't you? Ultimately, it's up to you.
That's right. And you can
or whomever. I dropped my glasses. Okay.
And you can create positive momentum for yourself just by doing small things, forcing yourself to smile. Something like that can slowly change your thoughts and your emotions, and those things can snowball. And eventually, you find yourself being a happier person.
So it doesn't have to be a forced smile, but
That's right.
whip one out when you can.
That's right, yeah.
Doesn't cost you anything. Uses less muscles, too, I've heard.
Yeah.
Thomas Winterman, thank you for that Thrive Thought for the week. And remember, fake it till you make it. We'll see you next time.